What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the left side of the map in the red color, playing as Ra. His name is Grand Monster. His opponent today in the blue color, playing as Loki. His name is Yoshii. Yoshii the Loki and Grand Monster the Ra. This is game number 5. Elimination game for both players. Yoshi's been on match point for the past 2 games, which means this is in fact the reverse sweep match point for Grand Monster, which I believe we may have seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, 2 of already. There might be more, but that's crazy to think that there's been that many reverse sweeps in this tournament, though it does make a little bit of sense. Say you've got 2 really, really strong gods and your third god is a bit of a letdown, then maybe you're going to be able to get reverse swept a little bit. But when it comes down to it, I think the people who have been reverse swept in this tournament are pretty strong random god players as it is, with plenty of strong gods to bounce off. So new map, new me, new you. And we see Loki. Yes, Loki. Loki is life. We love seeing a Loki game, but I'm sure that Yoshi's not going to be as happy as he might be normally, having seen that he's up against Ra, which is a really, really difficult matchup for the Loki players. And I think the reason it's difficult is just partly based on a lack of creativity from the Loki player. It's really, really easy to know what Loki wants to do. Therefore, Ra can just go in and defend it. Now, if this is the case and you've only ever played against uncreative Loki players, and then you come up against Yoshii, you got to be worried because Yoshii is a creative player. So we'll see what he's going to come up with. I wouldn't be surprised to see crazy like Heimdall strats, some sort of like fast heroic shenanigans, 2 town center ideas, Heimdall towers, all this stuff. Very, very exciting. And here's another thing that's going on right now that I don't think many people would appreciate how much value Yoshi's getting in this game. But right now, Yoshi doesn't need to build an ox cart for his food villages. He just bring the boars in and eat them underneath the town center, which is saving Yoshi so much resources, so many resources in the early game here. As he's scouting around, going to look to drop a temple down somewhere. We do see the armor of Achilles here, which is actually a really, really big help. The hack armor is going to be incredibly useful against the axemen of Ra. And obviously, if Ra was to get that relic, it would be vice versa here. As the temple does come up for Grand Monster. And we continue as if everything is great and fine and dandy. Now, some more dwarves coming out for Yoshi as he's just about to advance. I am excited. I think it's not that forward of a temple, but a forward temple. This can very, very easily be, could very, very easily be some kind of Heimdall for Yoshi. We'll see if that's what he's going to pick. I'm excited for it. The other thing is that Yoshi's got a metric shit ton of food in his base. A couple more boar in his base. Which means a really ridiculously fast heroic age is possible here for Yoshi as well. So there's a couple of strategies here that Ra wants to try against Loki. Now the strategy that I prefer is 1 town center. Like axemen. You make a handful of axemen or something. You are seeing Heimdall coming through for Yoshi. But you make a handful of axemen and then you just go heroic age. And then you go mythic age or something like this, depending on what your opponent does. And if they stay 1 town center, they go 4 city, then you know what's happening. If they don't, then you can react. But right now, Heimdall on the way for Yoshi, as this Pharaoh was getting a little bit lost here. This is something that I do see some players trying to do. He's going to move in and try and take some units back with shifting sands, I would assume. But a little bit dangerous. You just have to send a couple of units around, and we will be seeing the Hersa retreating back into the tower, not wanting to lose that one here. As Yoshi's got himself 350 wood in the bank. Here's barracks, 2 barracks coming down. The Hersa do spot that though. And the question is, what is Yoshi going to go for? And it does look like Yoshi's going for a town center here. which could be an absolute nightmare as the Axemen are going to come down. Yoshi's economy comes and hits exactly right here. So we do see a undermine onto this location, which will potentially kill the barracks, the second barracks, but it's not going to be time for a for a town center here. Yoshii agrees. He's going to throw down all of his military buildings on this position as that Pharaoh is still scouting around the base of Yoshii, as this Ursa is trying to get in onto that Pharaoh who's been incredibly wounded here. You do have to be careful not to send too many units onto this, otherwise they're going to get shifting sands back home. As this Pharaoh does get hit a handful of times here. Trying to hit a cheeky, what do you call it? A cheeky ghost building there, but not quite going to be enough. As the Axemen are pushing in, we've got ourselves 2 barracks up for Grand Monster. As the raiding cavalry coming through, Yoshi's making throwing Axemen. He's making raiding cavalry. He's making Hursa. He's taking units out left, right, and center. Grand Monster getting pushed back. Maybe the Wadget going to be going down. Einherjar does fall here, but one priest does go down, and a big secondary Einherjar spawn does come in here, and that's going to help out quite a bit, I would say, as these Axemen are doing some decent damage, but Grand Monster just doesn't have the production here. Yoshi's got so many more resources than Grand Monster, and honestly, a lot of that is because Grand Monster's Pharaoh went walkabout at the start of the game. That's why Grand Monster's got no resources right now. I see people going for this, and it's like, if you don't get damage done, you've damaged your own economy. You have to think about that. So think about how much extra food you get by just leaving your Pharaoh on the granary versus how much extra food you deny or resources you deny by sending your Pharaoh forward. As the Axeman gets healed back up, and Yoshii now ready to start moving forward here. Trying to push in. No, decides not to just yet. That Wadget is a little bit scary in the back there. Now the Wadget does slightly move forward, trying to do its darndest here to get some good deeps onto this one, and Yoshii wanders in. A little bit of tenseness happening right now with both players just massing armies, not really feeling like a big commitment here. Grand Monster might decide to move forward, but in reality he should be waiting here, as Yoshi's army is significantly stronger than his. 81 pop to 66, and another Einherjar does come in. As Grand Monster pushes forward, he's going to have his Pharaoh for this fight as well, which is a really big deal. We see another house coming up over here, as a Hursa might end up getting taken down. So those slings do come through. But now Yoshii ready to turn around, take this fight. That Einherjar going to come in, give a huge boost to these units, but big shifting sands into the main base here by Grand Monster, as Grand Monster tries to push in. There is, the Hursa manages to get on, the one lone Hursa manages to get onto that Wadget, and that's going to put an end to that big damage that it's doing there. The Pharaoh getting pulled back, the Einherjar pushing in, the units coming back here will be able to go straight after this food on the front here. A troll spawn here for Yoshii, and Yoshi's Heimdall Loki has managed to make absolute light work of this Egyptian army, as the Einherjar just continuing to boost the army up, getting so much extra damage. Those raiding cavalry going up very high. The extra Hursa that's in here is getting more and more value. We will be seeing the troll getting taken down, but now the Pharaoh falls, and Grand Monster is left with next to nothing on this front. And in that moment, just under 9 minutes into the game, we do indeed see Grand Monster throwing in the towel, giving Yoshii the victory here, and the series 3-2, 5-game series 3-2. Congrats to Yoshii for the dub here. Grand Monster not able to make it work with his Ra. This is kind of a strategy that makes some sense, but I just think that he didn't. I mean, you just need to leave the Pharaoh at home and the Priest empowering, and then you get more resources, you spam more, and then when the fight happens, you take your units off and you're fine. But it just seems that the economic advantage of just simply being Norse, or the economic disadvantage of being Egyptian, is so heavily disputed or outweighed. If you take a big look at this, it'll tell you a lot about this game here. I would say is the resource differential here. We've got 7,600 to 5,700 resources, and that tells a big story. Now you do have to argue that axemen and slingers, they cost less resources. Axemen cost, what is axemen? 40 food, 30 gold. That's only 70 resources. Whereas to say an axeman of a Norse, which is 90 resources. So there is that to take into account, but it's still, that's too much of a resource differential for the Ra to keep up with. So you do need to have him, that Pharaoh empowering if you want to, or you need to get good damage done with the Pharaoh. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.